Hello, I'm Toycat, and in today's video, you're going to be seeing a lot of randomly generated Minecraft worlds that come from a lot of randomly generated Minecraft seeds. And the reason for that is because Minecraft seems like a game which is already well and truly solved, and which has all of the hidden knowledge and secrets all the way out there on the internet already, right? I mean, look, one look at the Minecraft wiki will reveal that every single detail about every single block, every single mob, and every single structure is already well and truly out there, so you don't need to look for it yourself, and there's nothing else to add or to find because it's already out there, right? However, this is mostly true for the Java edition, although not entirely true, where the code is reverse engineerable, but it's way less true on the Bedrock edition of the game, which is where most Minecraft players actually do play, because the code is programmed entirely differently, and although it follows the Java edition loosely, but not entirely, it means there are so many details about the Bedrock edition of Minecraft which are just not factually correct. For instance, it says on the Minecraft wiki, abandoned villages spawn roughly 2% of the time. 1 in 50 villagers should therefore be abandoned villages. However, my experience has been way different to this. Is my experience just wrong because my sample size is too small and stuff like that? Or is it just that Minecraft abandoned villages are way more common on Bedrock? There's so many questions like this I have to answer, as well as so many questions about just how Minecraft Bedrock worlds generate differently to Minecraft Java ones, and I figured this video could be a great way to show you 50 different random worlds that come from 50 different Minecraft random seeds, that also we can test some fundamental data points, such as that one about abandoned villages, which mentally I'm sure can't be correct. It can't be 1 in 50 because of just how many I've encountered, but again, that could be just a pure correlation or wrong sample size. So that's what we're going through in today's video. I hope you all do enjoy it. So let's get straight into this, and let's start with the obvious question you might have if you're new to the channel, because you might say, how are you going to get a random Minecraft seed? And it's actually quite simple. All we have to do is type in nothing to the Minecraft world generator, and in case you're curious, that tells Minecraft on any edition to give you a random seed. On the PlayStation 4, it tries to give you a good seed, but on the Bedrock and on the Java edition, it will just give you a purely random seed, which is maybe nice for you if you want that way. So then also, we're going to switch over to creative mode. We're going to have coordinates turned on, and we're going to check a few things for every single seed. First of all, you're going to get a small glance into what every spawn area looks like. So this one has a desert with, it seems as though, a few caves, a desert well, which is the most useless but kind of rare structure. But then also we can see there's a pillager tower just the north of spawn, and there's a village over here, which is moving me to my next point, because the most fundamental thing I want to test today is, are abandoned villages as rare as they should be on Bedrock? Because I think not. So if we test 50 different seeds, we'd get 50 different villages if we check the nearest one to spawn, but that's not a big enough sample size. So once I found the first village, I'm going to look for the second village we can find from spawn in a purely random way, and that means if we check 2 villages per spawn, that means we can know for sure what the nearest 2 villages look like. So from here, because our rend distance on the Bedrock version of the game is much higher, we can actually see 2 villages. We can get a feel for which one is closer. That one's further away than this one, and then we can check the 2 nearest villages to spawn to get a feel for whether they are regular villages or abandoned villages. And if, like has just happened right here, we find too many abandoned villages, which I am going to expect I am based on all the seed searching I've done so far, we'll be able to work out a good estimate on the actual percentage spawn that abandoned villages are. And although we're using a fairly medium-sized sample size, it's still enough for us to get a feel for it, even if not a precise estimate. There'll be a margin of error, but if we get 10, then that would prove that the ratio must be higher than 2%, and stuff like that. So as we slide into our second seed here, I'm going to also mention the other detail that I'm kind of collecting while I'm here anyway, for mostly selfish reasons, for Seed Sunday reasons, so I can work out what a good seed is in regards to the woodland mansion, the rarest structure that, let's be honest, most people don't care about, because as you can see right here, the nearest woodland mansion to spawn is literally 27,800, let's say 28,000 blocks in one direction, and 16,000 in the other. That's 44,000 blocks you have to travel from here at the spawn to get your nearest woodland mansion. That makes this seed kind of questionable. And the other potentially selfish data point here is the fact that while we're searching all of these seeds, we might find a really good one that maybe you'll want to check out, because I love sharing seeds that are particularly interesting and worth checking out in some way. That's right, I said it. And another reminder as to why this has to be 50 seeds as opposed to just 1 is because, as you can see from the second seed, when we get our second sample size in here, now we've had 4 villages so far, only 1 of which has been abandoned, so that same 50%, or how it looked at first, is now just 25%, because, again, statistics get more reliable the more of them you have, and that's always interesting. as we enter the third seed, just like how we found another normal village here, but it's not so notable to our psyche. Although what is totally noticeable is it has two of these little wreck things here. It's all part of the same ocean ruins, but it means that there's ocean ruins in the village, and it looks like it's a partial desert village. Very strange stuff to see. Always would recommend. Because who doesn't want a fishing rod for free with their NPC village? Most people, I guess. But what is very interesting is that on the third seed, in the sixth village we run across our second abandoned zombie village. Again, if the correct odds that are displayed in the Minecraft wiki and the conventional wisdom, all these sorts of things would suggest, is true, then you'd find these only 2 times in the whole 50 seeds for the first 2 villages. Yet here we are on the 6th village, already having found this, and that gives us a sample rate of 33% as opposed to 2%. So that's, of course, much higher right now, and I imagine that will go down, but it's still very interesting. So this seed has a really interesting first village, because I mean, look at the bleakness of this. It's a tiger village, but it's got all of this water around it on most of the sides. Very interesting. Also interesting because it's not an abandoned village, so mark that for 1 on the non-abandoned village count. The second village is also not an abandoned village. It is notably filled with very alive villagers, although it has this cool effect where, as you can see, it's a tiger village, but it's in a snowy biome, so you get these rarer villagers instead. I like that personally. We also get this one plains villager who secretly wants to die. But anyway, let's try and stay focused. What is this? Is the seagrass coming out of the ice? Very weird seed, but again, we'll try and stay on track for now. It is very interesting that for the second time in just our 5 seeds, we've also found a survival island seed. A really bad survival island because there's no trees, no anything here really, besides 1 little bit of tall grass. Oh, it's actually 2, my mistake. So yeah, pretty bad seed for spawning, but we're not here for the spawn ratios, although that's interesting too. We're here to see the villagers. And just like that, our 3rd abandoned village, already here on just our 9th overall village. 1 in 3 again is proving to be abandoned, much higher than 1 in 50. I mean, doesn't take a genius to see that, right? And yeah, this is a abandoned savannah village, which is a rarer type to see, or it's one I haven't seen as often, I should clarify. So yeah, that's kind of fun. So yeah, the second village is not a abandoned village, but the nearest woodland mansion is 33,000 blocks away. So yeah, goes without saying, nearest woodland mansion to spawn is often very, very far. And also, it may be interesting to you to see how the statistics on this one's have bounced around, because now we've got 3 out of 10 being abandoned villages, which gives us a 30% rating. And you can see how it bounced from 50% at the start all the way down to 25, then up to 33, back down to 25, up to 33 again, and then down to 30. You can see how that statistic changes a bunch, but it's going to slowly level out, and it seems as though it might level out somewhere as high as 1 in 5 or 1 in 10 or something like that, which would be a lot higher, a significant chunk higher than you'd see suggested anywhere online right now. The 6th seed is pretty balanced compared to the previous ones. This is probably the most enjoyable for just a normal Minecraft world. And the 6th seed, also rather interesting to me, has another abandoned village as the closest one to spawn. I mean, there's no even doubting this being true, right? So another abandoned village, 4 within just our first 6 seeds. This already proves the ratio is wrong, and it proves, I guess, my hunch is some amount of correct, and I guess that means the rest of the video is working out how correct. Or maybe we don't find another one of these phenomenons for another 44 seeds. It just seems kind of unlikely given how this one has played out so far. Do you know what? Should we also keep track of how many survival island style seeds we get? Because surprising number of those also. Anyway, next seed. If you like savannah and you like coral, boy do I have the seed for you. Literally any biome you can see that's not an iceberg anywhere near spawn is just endless savannah. So guess what our first village will be? I guess I have to eat crow on that one because there's not a single village in the entirety of the savannah, but in the neighbouring desert biome there is. Incidentally, it's a pretty normal village. This is one of the coolest zombie villages, but it is still a zombie village to add to the pile. Far more than we should expect by now, by the way. This is the sort of seed I would have loved to load up during any one of my speed or challenge runs, so take from that what you will. Also take from it that there's a village right next to spawn. And do you know what it is? It's a zombie village again. Also, the zombie villages are desert zombie villages. That's kind of cool. Wait, I've never even questioned. Do zombie villages in jungles look like... Oh my god, how is this something I've never checked before? How did I not realize till just now you can get swamp and jungle zombie villages as well as regular villages? So I can't be certain from here, but just to confirm, it really is the second nearest village, and I'm not trying to fudge these numbers, although You should trust by this point, I'm just interested in knowing the actual rate of spawning, not in fudging the numbers, which we can see very clearly can't be right, because both of the nearest villages to spawn on this seed are zombie villages. It would be harder to find a regular village than a zombie village on this seed, because the nearest village after that is all the way over there, and we're not going to count it, but I reckon that could be a zombie village too. Yeah, I couldn't see it until just now, but this village is another zombie village. The 3 nearest villages to spawn are all zombie villages. Again, for the purpose of our, test, because I want to control the variables, we won't count that 3rd village from this one, but it is just worth mentioning, you do find seeds where regular villages are that much rarer than the zombie ones, which are meant to be 1 in 50 chances. If that 1 in 50 thing was true, the odds of finding both villages be 1 in 2,500. The odds of finding 3 of your nearest villages all being zombie villages would be 1 in 125,000 of having your 3 nearest villages to spawn all being zombie villages. So there's another point towards, you know what, maybe the numbers aren't right details. By the way, this seed is so covered in forest that I literally cannot find a single village anywhere near the spawn. So we're going to have to use the command to work this one out. It's been a while since I've seen one of these normal villages. Why are the villagers not undead monsters that want to eat my brains? It's so weird and confusing. Okay, yeah, this is much more like what I'm used to. For real, the second closest village, once again, is a zombie village. Still has all the loot of a regular village though. But I mean, this is pretty nutty in my opinion. So yeah, when you get an archipelago seed like this, it is very hard to find a village in any direction. But let's try and do that now. Okay, all the way over there is our nearest village. Imagine having to travel 1,000 blocks, by sea by the way, to get to your nearest village. I don't know if I could make that commitment to a Minecraft village at all. Not relevant to what I'm testing for today, but this is a very odd savanna biome. In the best of ways. So this is the first seed we've had in over like 5 in a row now that's actually been 2 regular villages. I mean, not really even regular villages because they've been a savanna and a taiga, but villages that were not covered in the zombified stuff. So fun fact, there we go. So yeah, this seed is quite notable for having 2 regular villages be the 2 closest ones to spawn. That should not be the case. This should be, again, 48 or 49 of the 50 seeds, but this is the first one we've had in 5, and only the 3rd village of the 10 we've done so far that has 2 regular villages near spawn. This spawn was literally underwater. That's a good sign of things to come. This will actually be all Minecraft seeds soon if we don't all work together to solve global warming. Just saying. Real problem. Pretty normal village, followed by a pretty normal village again. Hey, look at that. Normal Minecraft seeds are appearing all of a sudden. Also, this seed is pretty good because you can see just how many villages are close by. There's one just over there. There's one just over there. From here, they both look like regular villages. Actually, this one's definitely haunted, but still. Oh, it's not. So yeah, this is the opposite. This is 3 close by villages to spawn that don't actually all turn into zombie villages. Also, the closest woodland mansion to spawn of the entire batch so far, so that has to be worth something. Another normal village, that's 5 in a row. That's the biggest streak we've had so far in the entire thing. It's a pretty nice village too for one that's so close to spawn. Oh, it turns out this is the 2nd closest village to spawn, and the actual closest one just over here. 1, it's impressive to have 2 so close to spawn. And 2, it's impressive that they're both regular villages, and this one's a taiga village too, how nice. So right now we've seen 16 regular villages, and we've seen 8 zombie villages, which suggests the ratio is about 2 to 1, or 66% regular village, 33% zombie village. And that is pretty staggering, right? This is our 13th random world, so as you know, it's going to be very unlucky. A very real thing in the world of science is definitely bad luck. Definitely not a superstitious thing that has no basis in reality and is just humans' way of coping with bad events by justifying them as bad luck. Definitely this is going to be a terrible seed for whatever lucky thing we're trying to prove. Honestly, superstitions make some sense to me sometimes, but superstitious numbers don't. And to prove that, here's the rarest type of village. Wow, look how unlucky we are for finding the ice snow village that used to be a Bedrock exclusive. Wow, what an unlucky thing. Also, look, it's on a floating island to justify being on top of a river. How cool, in my opinion. And the 2nd closest seed to spawn is also a regular village. We're starting to prove another thing about statistics and I guess luck, that even though it might seem like you're having a run of good luck or bad luck, not that I and particularly in favor of either outcome. But in this case, you can see how like, oh yeah, trends emerge over time, but in the short run, extreme things can happen, which is why if you want to win at any casino or gambling based thing, you want to do it on short-term odds, because that's where the odds are going to be most extreme. Or let's put this another way. Let's say you roll a dice. There are 6 outcomes, right? So that means your odds of getting a 6 are about 1 in 6. If you roll the dice 6 times, on average, you might get a single 6, but sometimes you're going to get 0. You're going to get a bunch of like 2s showing up, and sometimes you might get 2 or 3 6s. However, if you roll that dice 100 times, or let's say 600 times, then almost certainly you're going to get around about 100 6s. You might get 108, you might get 99 or something along those lines, but you're going to get very close to what you expect when you do more and more outcomes. The nature of testing is that random events eventually have probabilities, and that's how probabilities do in fact work. So even if I don't personally believe in luck, I'd like to mention I understand why humans as a whole created it as a concept and why it appears in every culture in some way, such as, 4 being the unlucky number in most Asian cultures because it sounds kind of like death. I can see why superstition and luck needs to exist, because random things happen to good people, bad things happen to good people because of randomness, and it's something that's really hard to get over. Also, another regular village. How interesting, right? And the second nearest village. Wait, is it that one or is it that one? We'll have to confirm. Get this, by the way, right next to each other, there's 2 villages. Both villages have a desert temple next to, or slightly kind of inside the boundaries of, the village. So much so that I'd be willing to bet you could, like, make this into a villager house if you want to. That's kind of cool and useful. But yeah, it's not a string of luck that means we have a 5th set of seeds, all of which both have no abandoned villages. It's just how random works. Random creates very random outcomes. If they were predictable, they wouldn't be random, would they? Here's another seed with 2 villages right next to the spawn, which is always cool to see. One of which, just behind us, was a regular village, and this one just over here, I'm gonna go ahead and guess, is exactly the same. How intriguing. Another 2 regular villages. And this changes the statistics entirely. If we'd observed just the last 6 seeds, it might actually seem like we're only going to see 2 abandoned villages. If we observed just the first 10, it seems like, oh, that's 1 in 3. And if we look right now at the entire sample size, we've got roughly 1 in every 4 villages being an abandoned village, which is a much more accurate statistic because it covers more data. That's the point I'm trying to get at here. The number's always changing, but it's getting closer and closer to the truth of the overall game. And yeah, this larger data size contributing to more accurate results doesn't just repeat for, like up to 15 or up to 20 or something. The best sample size to work out what something random actually is infinite, of course, because as you get a large sample size, you get a better confidence rate. And this is how pretty much everything works. And yeah, that's why it's so interesting to find our first zombie village in 12 villages in a row. But here is the second closest village to spawn, being one filled with zombies. So there's a reason that previous zombie village from that previous seed felt like it was breaking a streak, and the reason is because wow, what are the odds of getting so many of one type of village in a row after such a varied result so far? It seems weird, but really it's just probability playing out, and the reason it seems like such a wild coincidence to see 6 of them in a row, or at least it did to my head, is because coincidences are something we entirely make up. Humans see coincidences everywhere, because when we look at lots of different things, we only tend to think about one of those things being a coincidence. A real coincidence would be lots of very rare things happening all at the same time. It's still possible with randomness, but it's actually a rare event, whereas 2 6s being rolled in a row, not actually such a big coincidence. It'd be weirder if that never happened than if it happened quite often. Gotta admit, this is a weird place for a village to try and spawn, but it is a regular village, and the same can be said for the second village around here. So yeah, given the interesting trend we're having towards, zombie villages being rare all of a sudden, what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip forward to like 10, and we can analyze all those results at the same time, because it is a lot less fun to just say, hey, these villages are normal villages. Also, it's starting to wear on me, realizing I'll have to open another 32 worlds after this. So, yeah. So one of the more requested types of Minecraft seeds is to have something at spawn, whether that be a village, a desert temple, a beehive even. In this case though, we seem to have spawned next to an igloo, which is the first time I can recall seeing that, so that's a fun little thing. But yeah, 40 in so far. The ratio is still much, much, much higher than it should be. We're about 20%, 25% so far, which is higher than you would still expect at this point. 50 random seeds, and 6 hours later, I have some results to go through with all of you, and these are going to be pretty interesting to help you understand what an average Minecraft seed really is like. And first of all, I really have to clarify that the average rate of Minecraft zombie villages, which is meant to be about 2%, which would therefore give us only 2 villages in our entire 100 supply, was, it was of course, we went for it really quickly, but the end rate we ended up getting was 27 zombie villages from the first 100 we checked. It cannot be overstated, just one, how much over 2 this really is, and 2, just really what this means for Minecraft Bedrock, that it means that there is roughly a 25, it means exactly a 27% ratio of an R data set, meaning the actual percentage within the game is somewhere between 25 and just over 30%. Again, we don't know exactly which one it is without having a much larger data set, but still, 25 to 30% of all Minecraft villages are going to be zombie abandoned villages, which to me actually does seem too high, even on the surface. Like 1 in every 4 villages being abandoned to 1 in every 3 villages being abandoned, that actually seems concerningly high, I would say, on the surface, because you don't need this many abandoned villages. They're fun when they're a rare niche thing, but are they so fun when every 4th village, instead of getting villagers to trade with and stuff like that, you have to either heal up the village, or you just have to kill them all and start it again from scratch and just acknowledge it's screwed because it's covered in cobwebs? That is actually pretty rough, that 1 in 3 almost villages is just going to look like this in Minecraft. Like, don't get me wrong, 2% seems a little bit on the low end as far as spawn rate should go, because again, people want to experience this sort of a cool rare feature, but you don't want to experience it every 4th village, you don't want to experience it every 3rd village even, and regular villages are a nice little reprieve from that, I would say. But the other thing that we learned from this, because I was also keeping track of the mansions on every seed by using the /locate mansion command, in case you're curious, and as you can see, by taking those coordinates every single time, calculating how far away they were from spawn, we could work out the average distance of a woodland mansion, and by putting it all of this data we have right here into a calculator, I have actually worked out that there is a 19,553 block average from the spawn to the woodland mansion. And although this one's not hard-coded, it's just based on what Minecraft can detect as the nearest woodland mansion, which is it's not based on any percentage or ratios within the game. This gives us a good estimate that your average seed should have about a 20,000 block gap between where you spawn and your first woodland mansion. To me, this really adds to the whole kind of like purposelessness of the woodland mansions. Like, admittedly, you can find maps that'll lead you there, but the fact that you on average have to go 20,000 and you don't know which direction, by the way, might be that way, might be that way, might be that way. Even if you know those coordinates from on screen earlier, you'd still struggle to be exactly the right direction, meaning realistically, most players are going to spend much more than that. And if you have really no idea where your woodland mansion is and no map, you could easily spend 100,000 blocks looking and still not find it. That to me is absurdity. That's another point about, statistics going the other way. Because we don't encounter them in our day-to-day world, we just kind of assume, oh yeah, there are woodland mansions everywhere, but I've never seen them. But again, the number of Minecraft players who have never experienced the woodland mansion, one of the 1.11 update's major features, is probably a big concern, I would say, especially, given that it was, it used to be the only way to contain a lot of brand new features. So yeah, it's really weird to me that such a major feature was over 20,000 blocks away from your spawn on average, which made it like late game content that didn't really work so well in the late game, besides the totem, which now isn't exclusive to the woodland mansion. So they're just a structure that exists and is rare, and that's pretty weird in my opinion. So yeah, they're the 2 big conclusions I draw. We have way too high a rarity, or I guess a commonality of zombie villages. We probably should have fewer, and I have to imagine either they intended to have fewer, or maybe there's a bug, or maybe just someone didn't understand the ramifications of every 4th village or 3rd village, again, depending on which number is inside the game, being a zombie village. Again, either a major bug or a serious oversight. And the other thing I would say is the woodland mansions, the fact that, we've always suspected they're far away, and obviously we've all had the cases where it's 35,000 blocks, but the fact that we only had 2 seeds where it was significantly less than 5,000 blocks away from the spawn, which 5,000 blocks can still be quite a lot, by the way. 5 kilometers, 3 miles, a long walk away from spawn, with just a couple percent of them having that. It's a really, really rough time for people who want to experience woodland mansions, which maybe is the goal, but maybe it shouldn't be. Or if they're going to make it the goal, then maybe there should be something to kind of counterbalance that, and that would be my suggestion. But otherwise, what have I learned from these ridiculous number of hours I've put into, poring over seed finding, and obviously besides the fact that some of these seeds might later be super great ones, I'm still going to have to do a lot more searching beyond just the woodland mansions, the nearest villages, and some of the other things I've noticed. But one thing I will say is that as you look around a Minecraft seed like this one, which is seed 48 in case you're curious, but as you look around a Minecraft seed like this one, you start to, and any one of these, you start to kind of like lump Minecraft seeds into like 5 categories, like survival islandy, plains/savannah-y, the ones that spawn you in a forest, etc, etc. Like, there seems to be categories of Minecraft seeds that everyone's expecting, or at least I personally expect, but then the more you kind of do it, the more you realize that, one, every Minecraft seed, of course it's different. When you're random, it's even more different, but you can really start to appreciate some of those differences when you look for the nearest structure. And it's kind of cool to me that Minecraft has so many billions of infinite, naturally generated worlds with just purely random variables, most of which haven't been discovered yet, some of which might have incredible things. Again, Seed Sunday to me, it's cool that like the best Minecraft seed statistically hasn't been found yet, and that kind of drives me forward on that, I guess, journey. But the other thing about it is the fact that when you do spot a Minecraft seed that really breaks the mold, it really does stick with you a lot more. By the way, just in case you're curious, we really did load up 50 worlds. Beyond seeing the really cool, collage thing earlier, maybe this helps you really see that it's just like, yep, that be a lot of different worlds. And actually, let me take you into one of these worlds in particular right here. Just an example of like, oh yeah, here's an interesting thing. Minecraft Mesa biomes are giant in Minecraft Bedrock. They were tiny in console, and there was a phase where they used to be tiny in, Bedrock. But it's really interesting when you do find a Mesa biome, which, one is like next to some other stuff, but two, which isn't as big as you otherwise expect. It's cool to see the moderately sized ones, in there. And I was like, oh yeah, this is pleasant. This is the sort of seed I'd like to, check out and, live my days in one day. Like, it's two of the most vibrant and also some of the rarest biomes as far as user perception goes. We got like jungle edge, bamboo forest, and mesa of all the different types, all kind of like combining in this one little area right here. It's always fun to see a jungle temple, right at the edge of all of that. Always a fun thing to see. The mixtures of biomes and some of the weird things you spot that are really super, uncommon and that you sometimes want. It's really nice to see something that you wanted finally actualized in the Minecraft seed stuff. Here's the seed on screen right now, and as you're going to see, it's now going to be entirely gone otherwise. It's gone for a long time, and slash or forever. It's a fun little thing that we can do with all of this, and yeah, we could do this endlessly, time and time and time again, but I'm sure you get for now. There's a lot of interesting seeds. Actually, here's another one I found interesting. This was just an ice spikes biome. Ice spikes are so rare, and kind of not as necessary after the invention of the, the iceberg biome. Like, you don't, find them special as much, but to find an ice spikes biome, near spawn, by the way, with a village next to it as well, I know these sorts of things are the things that you can really learn to appreciate, and maybe you do learn to appreciate it. Or maybe you look at this and you go, nah, not so great for me. That's your prerogative, I guess. But you know what else is your prerogative? Choosing whether you like this video or not, whether you choose to subscribe or anything like that. Because, one, it's the only way you can see our search for Minecraft's best seed. Every week we're checking out brand new seeds, multiple brand new seeds. Some come from viewer suggestions, and a lot of them I'm just loading up Minecraft seeds randomly, just trying to find that perfect seed, because I really do think one day we will just find it, and it'll be an amazing, wonderful thing. But maybe it's a pipe dream. You let me know what you think in the comments down below. Also, I had this idea right now, and you know what? I'm going to overshare with you because who cares? This is a YouTube video. We're 99% of the way through. This is a secret between you and me, loyal viewer. An idea I had is like Minecraft features that were made obsolete by other Minecraft features. Because I feel like, again, in the same way that the ice spikes biome, it's pretty, but you don't need it anymore because of the iceberg biome. I feel like, we also mentioned the same thing with the Woodland Mansion, the Totem of Undying feature versus the raid. So many features are made kind of obsolete by other Minecraft features, and I kind of want to talk about just like a bunch of those. Let me know if you'd be interested in that in the comments down below, because I'd love to do that. And yeah, I know your approval of my ideas makes me think my ideas are better, unless my ideas are bad, in which case your disapproval makes me hate them more. There you go. Look at that. That's a thing. But no, yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed this video, because I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.